What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Today, we're going to be diving into potential 2025 Arizona Cardinals starters. Now, I want to be very clear. This edition is going to be straight up just free agent acquisitions, players that I would love the Arizona Cardinals to potentially bring in. We will have another video slated for after the draft, right? Where obviously there's going to be a lot of mix-ups. I'm going to show you different graphics in terms of where the Cardinals can use an upgrade. And there's a lot of holes, specifically in the defensive side of the ball. So there's a lot of work to do for the Arizona Cardinals heading into the 2025 season. We got a lot of money to spend. As of right now, per Tankathon, we have 5 draft picks. I know when you use a lot of different mock draft simulators, that ranges between like 5, 6, or 7. Right now, per Tankathon, it says that we have 5 draft picks, and they are within the first 5 rounds. So for what it's worth, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and get started here. Obviously, huge shout out here to BetUS, which is powering the AZ Sports fan throughout the entirety of the 2024 season. Shout out to them, especially right now. If you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following 2. So shout out to them. Let's go and get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about where the current state of the Cardinals is right now. Now, we're going to first start off here with the offensive side of the ball. Right now, I want to kind of show you this graphic and explain where my mind is, right? You see question marks with white backgrounds. That means there's an obvious void there, right? With whether, we have a player that's hitting free agency. Actually, that's probably most likely what it is, right? So when you see the white backgrounds in the question marks, those players are set to hit free agency. If you see a question mark over a picture, like for example, Jonah Williams, he most likely is going to be the starter, but we could potentially use an upgrade. That's basically what it's insinuating. So let's take a look at the offensive starters right now where we're currently at. We got Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver 1, Michael Wilson at wide receiver 2, obviously Trey McBride being the best tight end in the NFL, Kyler Murray being quarterback, and then James Conner being running back. Our offensive line, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces right there. Paris Johnson Jr. at the left tackle, for Holt at center, and then Jonah Williams, like I said, can use an upgrade, but most likely is going to be the starter for 2025. And that's Jonah Williams. So question marks are around the 2 guard positions, and obviously Greg Dortch being the slot wide receiver can use some upgrades any which way for the Cardinals offense. But I guess the biggest concern is going to be more the defensive side of the ball, and there's going to be a lot of question marks. Just FYI. Here we go. All right, so here are the question marks for the defensive starters for the 2025 season. Now, let's kind of talk about who we currently have right now, right? Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson being the 2 guys here at the safety position. I know there's some people out there, rumbling around the thoughts of maybe Jalen Thompson either being cut or traded or the Cardinals just doing away with them because Rabbit's going to take his place. Honestly, right now, the way I look at it is Jalen Thompson's a really good player. If you do want to have Rabbit being that guy, have a 50-50 share split, right? And if it comes to the point where Rabbit is just dominant and better, have him there. But I love the idea of Jalen Thompson being depth. You never know what happens, right? We need to make sure that we got people, in case injuries happen. So I don't want to, just flat out cut him. We got him for at least 1 more year, so might as well just ride him out. At least that's the way I like to look at it. But there's those 2 guys. You also got Max Milton, Mac Wilson Sr., Garrett Williams, and then Darius Robinson. Now, you do have some question marks right there. The first question mark in the middle is going to be Kazir White. We don't know if he's coming back, right? There was a post out there on his Instagram saying, thanks to Arizona. And usually that doesn't equate to he's coming back. That usually equates to, oh my God, we might have to look for a middle linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals. And of course, that other question mark is going to be the edge position, and that's Dennis Gardick, which is set to be a free agent as well. Now let's take a look at the question marks over the pictures. Justin Jones most likely will be a starter for the Cardinals, just being the fact that he might be the best we got. But can definitely use an upgrade, right? Now, we got Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols this last year. They are going to be healthy. hopefully to the start of the season, and we can definitely use those big bodies there because we were riddled with injuries on the D line. Zaven Collins, kind of feel the same way about him. It's kind of one of those things where obviously he was a first round pick for the Cardinals. He was supposed to be a middle linebacker and then moved him over to edge. He's had some, moments here and there, but he's not a true outside linebacker. I believe he ended up finishing off the season with 5.5 sacks, if I can remember correctly. So, I mean, there's production, but it's just not to the point where you know, we would love to see it, right? So, question mark over him. Most likely going to be a starter, but obviously can use an upgrade. And then Sean Murphy Bunting, right? I think it's time to kind of either. I don't know. I kind of feel like he's going to be a starter because I don't think he was atrocious. Obviously he wasn't like Marco Wilson status, but I mean he's not the greatest, right? But I do love the guys that we have, the younger guys under him, right? Obviously Garrett Williams is coming into his own, potentially going to be cornerback one for the Cardinals, and then Max Melton, and of course you also have Starling Thomas the fifth as well. So there's a lot of players that we currently have right now on the cornerback depth chart. And then obviously Elijah Jones was another third round pick for the Cardinals as well. So we got depth back there. It's just, I don't know. Sean Murphy Bunting is under contract. So I don't know. I just don't see the Cardinals making a big swing for a cornerback when we got some solid pieces, right? Solid pieces. So there's that. This is what our defense looks like right now. Like I said, a lot of moving pieces. This is how I would love the Cardinals to shake out here in 2025. Now, please keep in mind, this is based off of my opinion and what I would love the Cardinals to do. I'm not saying there's rumbles out there, rumors that the Cardinals are going to go after these guys. I'm not saying that. I just would love the Cardinals to do this personally. Now, if you disagree, cool, no worries. Let me know here in the chat below. But let's first start off here with the potential defensive side of the. Actually, no. Let's start off with the offensive side of the ball first. Potential offensive side of the ball in 2025 starters for the Cardinals. So this is kind of how I have it set. And I know if you're looking at this and you're saying, where's the upgrades? Where's the upgrades? There's not very many. There's not very many. So obviously we have Jonah Williams there. I had a question mark over him because although he's looked good in the sample size that we've seen in the beginning of the season, and literally it was just one game, there was definitely an obvious struggle when he came back and came into subbing for Kelvin Beachum. But, he's still under contract. I don't see the Cardinals moving off of him or signing another big-time right tackle in this free agency market. We just got a lot of holes, and right now he's a solid piece for the Cardinals. I think one thing they can do is, go after in the draft if they want to use a high draft pick on a right tackle for the future. That can very well be a possibility. And they also do got Christian Jones, which I know they like a lot. I hope the Cardinals bring back Will Hernandez. There's that, and then Froholt was going to be our center, and then Isaiah Adams struggled a little bit in the beginning of the season, kind of struggled out, but definitely has promise and potential. So I feel like the Cardinals are going to elevate him to be the left guard because obviously Evan Brown, I think he's going to hit the open market. There's only one of those guys that I would like to bring. Actually, let me take it back. I would love to bring back Will Hernandez and Evan Brown, but if I would have to choose one, it'll definitely be Will Hernandez, definitely. So I feel like the Cardinals can elevate Isaiah Adams to make that role in the left guard position, and then you got Paris Johnson Jr., and then the really only free agent acquisition that I have here on the offensive side of the ball, if you haven't noticed already, is going to be the wide receiver here at T. Higgins. And like I said before, this is something that I would love to see. I love T. Higgins. I like him since the Bengals drafted him. Yes, he's dealt with some injuries here and there, but he's also been dealing with trying to get paid by the Bengals, and they just haven't really paid him. So I'm not going to come out here and say that, he was faking injuries. No, I think he was legit having injuries, but there was a lot of stuff that was going on with the Bengals not wanting to pay him, franchising tag, and all that different ugly stuff. So I don't know. I feel like if he wants another opportunity, we'll love nothing more than bring him in as a potential wide receiver number 2 to complement a Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride being obviously tight end number 1, Kyler being quarterback because he's going to be coming back in 2025. And then Michael Wilson, not necessarily saying move him to the slot, but, that's kind of how I have it, right? 1, 2, and 3 for wide receivers. And then James Conner obviously being your workhorse. So not really much of a big splash change here on the offensive side of the ball. But let's move on over to the defensive side of the ball, right? A couple different changes that I would love to see. Now, I want to be very clear. This is only based off of free agency. Once the draft happens, we will be doing another potential 2025 starters, it's the offseason, right? This is definitely stuff that we're talking about here in the offseason. So at the end of the day, if you're wondering why are we even talking about this, because it's what we got right now. So this is kind of what we're looking at right now for potential 2025 defensive starters. You are going to see some new names here, and I will be diving into that here soon. So I got Zaven Collins. Obviously, we can use an upgrade, but I think he's going to be coming back on edge. And then you got Darius Robinson. We got a lot of people here in this last year with Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols, but I don't know. Even when we signed them, I felt like they were players, like they were depth players that the Cardinals paid a good amount to. And I know there's a lot of people who didn't really like the signings very much, but it's a 3-year deal, and I think there's some sort of out in 2026, but you got him in 2025, so good defensive players in terms of depth players with Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones, but I'm looking for somebody like a dog, right? A guy that's going to come out here and make some big, impactful plays here, and I feel like if the Cardinals can, invest some money to a player that really deserves it. And I'm not saying Bilal and Justin Jones doesn't deserve it, but bring in somebody like BJ Hill, which if you're looking at obviously the Cincinnati Bengals, they have a lot of issues with, I guess not a lot of issues, but they're going to have to sign a lot of big key players back, right? With Jamar Chase being obviously top of mind, Trey Hendrickson being another top of mind player as well. So there's going to be some players falling, in the cracks of potentially not being able to sign them due to salary cap reasons. So that's why I kind of snagged T. Higgins on the offensive side of the ball and then BJ Hill on the other side of the ball as well, because I would love the idea of the Cardinals bring in just a defensive piece or a dominant piece on the defensive line. And BJ Hill, I feel like fits that mold here for the Cardinals. 6'3", 311 pounds, 29 years old. So definitely not going to be a long-term deal, but similar to maybe it's definitely going to be more expensive than Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols, but 2-3 years is definitely something that I'm very comfortable with personally. But 3 sacks on the season, and overall, just a really good player. Former 3rd-round pick here to the New York Giants in 2018. So hey, I feel like that's an upgrade on its own. And of course, if you're not seeing that the other edge on the other side, Josh Sweat, man, I would love to bring in Josh Sweat, him or Azeez Ojulari. I feel like that would be kind of what I would see as idealistic. Monty, you're making moves, right? Thank you so much for addressing the fact that the Cardinals can use an upgrade on the edge, right? I love the fact that the Cardinals could potentially bring in a Josh Sweat. That's why I have him slated right there. Sean Murphy Bunting, like I said, we do got a lot of holes, so I think right now we are going to stay with them at the cornerback. Obviously, Garrett Williams probably going to be cornerback 1 for the Cardinals, but the top 3, Garrett, Sean Murphy Bunting, and then Max Melton being our corners. And then Mac Wilson Sr. coming back in the middle, and then Zach Bond, another Philadelphia Eagle player as well. So the Eagles don't have a lot of money to spend. I think they have about $18-19 million. So there might be some players that could potentially find some new homes. Why not bring a guy that has potential ties with Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon? So that's why I have Zach Bond in here, which actually he's had a really good year this last year. So 28 years old, 93 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, forced 5 fumbles and 1 interception. Had a really good season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said before, we don't know what the status of Kazir White's going to be. So we'd love to bring him in. And then, of course, you got your guys in the back in Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Where would you like to see an upgrade here? I know that I read a couple of comments here that in the middle linebacking role, people would love to bring in, like, let's say, for example, a Nick Bolton, right? Hey, man, I'm cool with that as well. I think as long as we address that there is a need in a lot of different spots here for the Cardinals, I think we can all kind of agree that the Cardinals can use a pretty serious facelift, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below. Another huge shout out here to BetUS, which is powering the AZ Sports fan here throughout the entirety of the 2024 season. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.